Hello, students. Today we study William Shakespeare play The Merchant of Venice. There are two main plot strands to The Merchant of Venice, both closely entangled. The first involves Portia, the wealthy heiress of Belmont, who decides that she will marry whichever suitor picks the right casket. The second involves a loan the Jewish moneylender Shylock makes to Antonio, the merchant of the play's title. The two plot lines are connected because Antonio borrows money from Shylock in order to help out his friend Bassanio, who wishes to finance a trip to Belmont to try his hand at Borgia's three casket trials. These two threads run through the play, becoming united toward the ends of the play, when Portia disguises herself as a male liar in order to defend Antonio against Shylock's knife. She is aided by her maid, Nerissa, who is engaged to Bassanio's friend, Grashno. Nerissa is also disguised as a man, uh, probably Portia's clerk. After trying unsuccessfully to appeal to Shylock's quality of mercy, Portia changes tack and saves Antonio on a legal technicality, while his agreement with Shylock allows the Jewish moneylender a pound of Antonio's flesh. It does not entitle him to drop a blood of merchant. And if he tries to remove a pound of flesh and makes him bleed, he will be liable. Shylock is defeated and Antonio saved in this play. And Shylock is well and truly defeated. He has to pay damages to Antonio, that is half of his entire wealth, and is also forced to convert from Judaism to Christianity. However, Antonio gives the money he gets from Shylock immediately to Jessica, Shylock's daughter, who had earlier eloped with Lorenzo against her father's wishes. There is one last romantic twist to the plot before the trials. Portia and Nerissa had made gift of rings to their husband, Antonio and Grashno. After trials over, to express their gratitude, the liar and the clerk for saving Antonio's skin, they both give their rings to the lawyer and his clerk as token of thanks. And we know that those clerk and liar were uh, Nerissa and Portia respectively. Now we study the main character of the play, Antonio. Although the title of the Shakespeare's play, The Merchant of Venice, refers to Antonio, and although the plot turns on Antonio's dilemma, his character is lackluster and not sharply drawn. He is rich, comfortable, and popular man. Antonio's loneliness and melancholy stands in sharp contrast to festive mood of the comedy. But one really negative trait of Antonio's character is his anti-Semitic slur against Shylock, which exceeds the boundary of mere disliking of a usurer. Bassanio, a noble man from Venus who is kinsman, close friend, and long-time debater of the merchant, Antonio. Because he wants to marry the noble Portia, but cannot himself afford to do so, Bassanio takes debt from Antonio. He also tries to save Antonio from Shylock and leaves for Venice as soon as he listens the news of Antonio's arrest. Portia, quick-witted, wealthy, and beautiful. Portia is one of Shakespeare's most adorable heroines. She is gracious and intelligent, with an immense power to attract others. Her goodness and virtues enhance her beauty. Like Antonio, Portia is an example of nobility, but unlike Antonio, she is not passive, but display energy and determination. It is no surprise that she emerges as the antidote to Shylock's malice. Shylock. Shylock is almost usually accepted as the most vivid and memorable character in The Merchant of the Venus, and as one of the Shakespeare's greatest dramatic creations. But the character of Shylock has also been the subject of much critical debate. No consensus has been reached on whether to read him as a bloodthirsty bogeyman, a clownish Jewish stereotype, or a tragic figure whose sense of decency has been fractured by the persecutions he endures. Nerissa. Nerissa is the waiting maid of Portia, but actually she is more of a companion to Portia than a maid servant. The main point to note about Nerissa is that she possesses almost all those qualities which Portia has, but possesses those qualities in a much lesser degree. She is miniatures of Portia, though lacking in Portia's beauty and Portia's wealth. Rational. Rational is a very talkative and witty man. Indeed, his granulity is his most striking trait, and his trait would have repelled us if his stuff had not been witty. He has a keen sense of humor, has infinite capacity for talk, and a fertile wit. Now we study the theme of display. First one is reality and idealism. The Merchant of Venus is structured partially on the contrast between idealistic and realistic opinions about society and the relationship. On the one hand, the play tells us that love is more important than money, mercy is preferable to revenge, and love's lost forever. On the other hand, more skeptical voices tell us that money rules the world, mercy alone cannot govern our lives, and love can evaporate after marriage. The second is mercy. However, against all the odds, Portia do manage to bring about some mercy in Venus. When Shylock faces executions for his crime, Portia persuaded the dukes to pardon him. She then persuaded Antonio to exercise mercy by not taking all of Shylock's money from him. Here Portia's presence turns the proceeding away from violence and towards forgiveness. Portia does therefore succeed in transmitting some of her idealism into Venus. Prejudice. We see Shylock prejudiced toward Antonio as he was taken as good fellow. Antonio's slurs against Shylock is another example of this, and this has led to greater animosities. Shylock does not want to spare Antonio at any cost because he hates him. So we have studied the play The Merchant of Venus. So remember one thing, the Merchant of Venus is Antonio. So students, if you have any questions, you write your questions in your comment sections, and there I'll answer your questions. Thank you very much.